Welcome to another CHRO Conversation, hosted by the Center for Executive Succession at the Darla Moore School of Business. I'm your host, Anthony Nyberg, and today we are viewing a compilation of interviews on the topic of artificial intelligence. In this video, we have the opportunity to learn from Donna Morris, who is the Executive Vice President and Chief People Officer for Walmart, Pam Kimmett, the CHRO and a member of the Executive Leadership Team for Manulife Financial Corporation, Lucien Alziari, Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer at Prudential Financial, and Nico Lamoureux, who is the Senior Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer at IBM.
We as a company have leaned into AI over the last number of years, whether that's being on the digital experience when you're shopping on Walmart.com, the fact that you can actually converse. It's a chat bot on the other side that can serve up recommendations to you. On the internal side of our business, that includes a people bot that can ask questions as you navigate. But more recent, we actually stood up what we call My Assistant, and that's embedded in a mobile app, digital form online as well, in an app called My Campus, or Me at Campus, I should say. My Assistant is a generative AI tool for our campus office associates. I'll use an example. I want to hire somebody. I can quickly go in and say, provide for me a job description that includes these characteristics. And within a blink of an eye, it's going to form something that'll be a starter for me that's probably 70 to 80% correct. Why is this important? Because we want to take out the redundant tasks that often people find themselves doing, which provide friction in their day. We want our associates to spend more of their time serving our customers, serving our members, or frankly participating with each other to collaborate, to innovate, to make bigger and better impact for our overall business. So we look at generative AI as just one example of different technologies that can actually streamline and improve work. I think the reality is any wave of technology brings disruption and brings change. And you always have companies and individuals that are early adopters, and the majority join after the fact. Walmart really is an early adopter, and we're an early adopter because we believe that we can improve the customer and the member experience and the associate experience. And for all these waves of technology disruption, what we've actually viewed is that you don't necessarily change the size of your workforce, but the jobs do change. So I'll use some examples. We've continued to introduce supply chain automation. What we find is more of those jobs actually pivot to support that automation, or some of those associates pivot to other jobs. For instance, our fleet has grown. It's doubled in size over the last number of years. Many of those drivers now had originally started in other functions in the organization. So I think the robust requirement is on workforce planning and how we continue to actually determine what are the jobs of the future and how are companies actually developing the skills today for their associates to navigate to where the puck is going into the future. I think we all have to start by actually trying it ourselves. And so if somebody hasn't tried, for instance, ChatGPT, it's like, try it. Maybe use it as an opportunity to describe a task or an idea or a menu suggestion or a trip suggestion, just to see that it's not going to replace your own intelligence. In fact, it can help to be a partner or a thought partner for you as you navigate your work. If I can become more effective by virtue of using a digital tool, then how might I spend my time on higher value work? And I think over time, you're going to see different jobs shape as a result of technology. We're going to have individuals that are going to have to lean into the data that we're learning from, for instance, some of these new tools, and those will actually create new opportunities for people.
I think AI is going to help us think about how do we use our time, how are we making sure we're following up on certain messages, how are we connecting with people. If I've got a presentation to make, can I get a quick download of an outline, or can I refresh my memory about certain topics, whatever. Okay, for sure. Then there's the obvious adjacent things like coders. Can we accelerate their productivity? Can we take some basic coding and have it done automatically and just have people do some checking? I think the trickier part becomes, will it really fully replace human beings in certain roles? Because at least right now, generative AI doesn't quite have the judgment. It knows how to do repeatable tasks, it knows how to aggregate data, but there's a judgment factor that still has to come. And this is where I get scared, because to sit in my chair, I have an amalgam of work where I sat in, hopefully this isn't inappropriate, the amen row of many meetings when I was very junior, watching other leaders. How did they handle certain situations? There's so much that you've learned over time. And if AI just jumpstarts and eliminates a portfolio of jobs and job experiences, how do we cultivate leadership pipelines? How do we really cultivate deep experiences in certain areas where you need the wisdom? A trader needs to know certain rhythms of how to anticipate markets. It can't just be an algorithm that makes those decisions, for example. So that's what has me a little bit anxious about AI, is what does it do to career pathing and people's body of capability to exercise judgment?
I think what you're going to find is that AI is going to replace very few jobs. It's going to be on the fringes. The bigger conversation we all need to be having is AI is going to change every job. It's going to change your job. It's going to change my job. Our jobs will still exist, but how we do them and what we do in those jobs is going to look different. And I worry that because we're getting distracted by a very small percentage of jobs that will completely go away, we're missing the much bigger thing that's about to hit us, which is how do we prepare the workforce for the changes that are coming? In the specific example that you talked about with our chatbot, what we found is our HR generalists that we recruited from great schools like South Carolina were spending 80% of their time doing transactional work, basic work. So this was causing some problems. We were making great investment in talent. They weren't really doing leadership coaching or performance management or workforce planning. They instead were getting forced to spend their time in transactions. But it also meant that our managers weren't getting the support that they needed. So for us, this wasn't about a net decrease or lost jobs. This was about taking that transactional work away so that the HR professionals could spend more time on things that are uniquely human. If I could go back in time, and I know this ship has already sailed, I would not call AI artificial intelligence. I would call it augmented intelligence. But that's what I see playing out here. This is not about a total supplement or replace. So what we have to be working with our employees is thinking about how do they work with AI? What parts of their job are enhanced with AI? Are there the transactions that are going to happen? And then you sit on top of that and you do the more strategic work. Is it going to be decision support? And I did say decision support, not decision making. I think that's what you're going to find that AI is doing more and more, is it's taking routine tasks away completely, but that it is also kind of working with you to help you get work done.
AI is a overall banner headline for actually many, many things. And so I always ask people in these conversations about, well, what do we mean by AI? Because sometimes they mean a little bit of data, sometimes they really do mean artificial intelligence, sometimes they mean generative artificial intelligence. So I don't think it's another incremental step. I think it's bigger than that, but nor do I think it's like the end of the world or the fundamental change in knowledge work, but it's going to be a fairly important change, particularly to knowledge work, if we can all figure out how to do it responsibly and constructively. And so, I guess I've been part of the same learning journey as everybody else. There was a point in time when ChatGPT suddenly came onto the airwaves, and it was like, wow, this is the thing. And I still think that there is a lot of potential for how do we automate out the work that actually people don't enjoy doing so that they can do more higher added value work, particularly in the world of knowledge work, because I think if you look at the last 20, 30 years, there's been enormous productivity in the sort of manual labor. There's been much less productivity in knowledge work. And so there's definitely an opportunity there. But we also have to be very, very mindful of there are some downsides to this, and we need to understand those and do this in a responsible way and a thoughtful way. And so I saw everybody sprinting out of the blocks, and now everybody is sort of, not everybody, but many are taking a more measured view, use cases, testing it, making sure they understand what it is. And then society at large can have debates about whether it's, you know, the thing that will end mankind or whatever else. But our job is to figure out how do we apply it to our business.
You just listened to another CHRO conversation. Today, Donna Morris of Walmart, Lucian Alziari, Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer at Prudential Financial, Pam Kimmett of Manulife, and Nico Lamoureux of IBM shared their thoughts regarding some opportunities, challenges, and concerns about the role that AI will play in driving both HR and organizational success. Their perspectives are extremely different and interesting and informative. I hope you enjoyed listening to them as much as I've enjoyed putting this together. On behalf of all of us who are associated with the Master of Human Resources program and the Center for Executive Succession here at the University of South Carolina, thank you for joining us.